We just go viral and be real. That's like becomes our thing.
That's what we do.
Oh. Oh my God! I've not had a hot cup of Joseph.
Hot cup of Joseph.
A hot cup of Joseph.
Hello there. How are you gonna
homemade, by the way. I've had like 45 of them.
Are you gonna come up? You gonna come up? Come here. Come up.
Rory gets to be in the pod this morning. It is currently, if you're wondering, just for the sake of this video, 40 degrees outside.
A little nippy.
And so, in my mind, I'd like to be inside.
Yes. Oh.
The good news is we've got this beautiful, extremely real with ferocious flamed fire balloons.
I can feel it on my back.
And we've got my... This is Rory's stocking.
Rory's.
Where'd that come from?
I think his mom got it. We just threw it on top of yours.
Okay, and then we've got my Miss Piggy stocking with a Sharpied in J. Because they didn't have a J at the store.
They didn't.
They didn't. They didn't. I swear.
We bought a Christmas tree. We went and got stockings. Kiki and I walked in. All they had was, I'm not even kidding, all they had was S's and K's and like one P. And so we were like, we could either buy the Peppa Pig one.
What if you're lying? You know?
Do you want to go back?
Yeah, I go, there's like 50 J's.
It's all J.
You motherfuckers.
Oh, okay.
And,
And
your
then-
Kiki just died.
One S, one K. Well, good morning. Welcome back to our house. This is the new location.
In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about podcasts.
Lovely.
I actually have that as a topic. I thought talking about podcasts would be funny.
Okay.
Well, we have a couple options. We can talk about podcasts. We talk about, you know, I didn't write anything. No, I'm just kidding. I have things.
I like your pants, by the way.
Doing things, especially when you don't want to do them. We did that yesterday. The important time about the things you're struggling with. So we could do that. Or, thank you.
Yeah.
Or we could have a therapy session where we ask each other what is going on poorly in our lives and we can therapy each other. I had that idea this morning.
That sounds fun.
All right, Scotty.
You start.
No, I'm too nervous. Things are going very poorly. No, I'm just kidding.
This is your idea.
All right, we'll start.
Please.
Scotty, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Jordan. How are you?
Is that what you meant? You meant like I start to speak my issues to
Oh
you?
no! Oh no! We should probably start like a real therapy session. So
That's what I'm saying. I think you should go first.
How does
and
this
say
make you
your
feel?
things because you are very good at being a therapist and a coach. Right. If you keep biting your foot, I'll sell you to Uganda.
Uganda, they're looking for dogs.
They've got to have dogs there.
Yeah, I don't know if they're paying.
Yeah, I feel like if we start with me, then we're going to be an hour in, and you're not going to have to say a word. So,
Okay.
Sky, what are you struggling with right now? What's going on in life? Your life's pretty great, I feel like, for the majority part.
My life is fantastic. And that's not just me being like oh, everything's always hunky dory. I just have that mindset of like, you know, nothing's ever really that bad. But I mean, there are things. I mean, there's always like the struggles, there's always the stresses. I think what's going on in my life right now is execution on the next thing.
Do you know what the next thing is?
In a sense, I do, but it's more of like, it's like we talked about on yesterday's podcast. Life is about, you know, taking the things that you're doing and then stacking them and, you know, building upon what you're already doing. And so it's taking my businesses and taking everything that I'm doing into the next level, and also, you know, kind of taking all the skills that I've developed and all the skills that I have and all the gifts that I have and making it into the next piece of me. And so, you know, as like the last year has progressed and stuff like that, now I have, you know, I have Kiki around and I have like you around and I have all these people around me that are, you know, really, you know, high levels in what they are doing. And, you know, it's going, okay, how can I take your business to the next level, but also be a part of it, you know, because I see what you're doing and I want to invest into you and make sure that you're the best that you're doing. Kiki, for instance, it's like Kiki's like an amazing videographer and I see what he's doing. And so I'm trying to get him as many clients as I possibly can, while also, you know, the clients that I'm bringing him are also my clients. Yeah. And so it's like all of my clients need video work, all of my clients need photography and all these things. So it's like, you know, how can I build my business up to now basically have more value as myself and, you know, by bringing more value from these other people, but also making sure that he's taken care of, making sure you're taken care of, making sure like all of my investment partners are all taken care of. And so I think that's where I'm struggling the most right now is it's not a struggle, it's just a lot of work and a lot of mental bandwidth that I'm bound, it's all the ideas. And so it's not letting that interfere with what I'm already doing and keeping the pace, because there's been times recently where I'll sit back and I'm like, literally nothing has gotten done in the past 2 days except for me sitting here thinking. And
welcome to my life.
And it's like, and I enjoy that, and I think it's a very good thing to do, but I also think you can get drowned by it. where all of your time is sitting there thinking about, okay, is this going to work? Is that going to work? And I understand that there is time where you have to have this sit back time and figure it out before you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to pull, like, for instance, like, and I'll just be completely, like, brutally honest.
Be
it's like,
brutally honest here, Sky.
Like, I had a brand deal come across my table 2 days ago, and they were asking my rates and stuff like that, and I had never done the kind of deal that they were doing. And so I basically just, I believe that you should always just, like, shoot for your worth.
Yeah.
Shoot for your worth and shoot a little higher, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I shot my worth, and, like, for the past 2 days, I've been sitting back and, like, that was just too much.
Yeah.
Like, that was I asked for way too much. Like, it could still go through, but it's like, it's a missed opportunity, but because I didn't have that focus of being like, okay, it was like, I was in one of those moments where I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I'm already thinking ahead of time. I'm like, all this other stuff's going on. Okay, oh, that's really cool. I want to work with them. I've never done that before. Here's a number.
Yeah.
But the more I look back on it, I was like,
should have kind of taken a moment.
I should have taken a moment.
Yeah.
I should have sat down, realized what they were asking for, and then built a real, actual plan for it, instead of just being like, here's this, I'm taking care of this right now, because that's maybe a missed opportunity, which I don't regret, but it's also now that's on my mind of like, okay, what if?
Well, also two things. Yeah, what if they come back and there's an option where they come back and go, okay,
yeah,
which happens a lot in this field. And then also on the contrary, it's like I feel like when a brand approaches you and they have a budget, you also got to understand two things. The difference between maybe what they were looking to pay versus you is a big difference, but your little tiny number in their $100 million marketing budget isn't shit.
Yeah.
So it's not like the numbers scare them. And I don't even think it's like if they want to spend $5,000 and you come at them with 50, there's obviously just a fucking stretch for the sake of this point. They can spend they can spend $5,000. So it's not like you're 50 through them off. At the end of the day, they'll spend $5,000. They want to work with you for $5,000. Just because you said 50, they were like, hey, we want to work with you. You're talented. You might be a little crazy, but we'd still love to work with you.
But like you said, and like we'll get back to the therapy session in a second, but I just want to bring this out there really quick for people who are listening is, don't ever underestimate your worth.
Yeah.
Because I did that for so long when I was first starting, and not like, but also understand your value. Like you have to really look at what you're doing compared to other people. Like what you and I produce, luckily we're blessed to have people around us who are insanely talented. Like it's the blessings that we have, like with Gordon and with Kiki and with Ethan and all these guys who are like just masters of their craft, and they are our friends and they're willing to help us. It's like, it's insane, but you also realize like the value that you now bring because of that is astronomical compared to like the average person who's just, not that there's anything wrong because that's where you start, but like you're just starting with your phone and just like doing something stupid and just like really something little. So that's one thing I really want to get across the table is look at your value that you bring, but never undervalue yourself, and live in the value that you want to bring before you actually ask it. So back to therapy.
He's like, I hate my life.
Yeah, back to therapy. I am quitting everything.
I was thinking, do you think like you stacking, like within you stacking, do you think there's a chance that like holding on to certain things that like if you want to add in these new ventures in this next level and this next chapter, there are times where you feel like you're holding on to other things? Same with like me with YouTube and wanting to move on to other things. Like I always feel like YouTube is just like this parachute dragging me back. Do you feel that way with some of the things you're doing? Like, do you know that you might need to drop some of those things to partake in the new things?
Absolutely, and that's just being real with yourself. I do understand that. I do believe it, and I believe that comes with growth. I think that's the word that we're looking for here is growth. It's you got to the point where it's like you've been so comfortable in what you've been doing, and it's been such a great safety net. It's been such a blessing that you're scared that like if you dump that, now that piece is gone, and if you fall flat on your face, it's not going to be there. When that's just fear at the end of the day. Oh, how cute. When that's just fear at the end of the day. And I think that's just getting over that fear. Yeah. That's just understanding that it's a progression. It's a part of life, and you have to just move forward. And it's scary. I'm not going to say that I'm not scared of that, because I think all of us face it. But you have to get uncomfortable, and that's what we were talking about the other day, where it's, you have to fall in love with being uncomfortable, and I'm at that point now, and I'm having fun with it. Yeah. But it's still scary at the end of the day.
I feel like when those moments happen too, it's like you're waiting for this moment, like all right, now this new thing has progressed enough that this last thing, I kind of feel like I dropped it off. The problem is I feel like that new thing will never happen if you do that.
Exactly.
Like I feel like this is like your best case scenario that you have in your head that won't exist. Rarely ever is it like your new venture is going to take off so much that you can find, like what point are you, what switch are you waiting for where you're like, you know what, now I can move it, rather than, a lot of people don't realize, and this isn't for everybody because there are cases where people working like a 9 to 5 and it's like, you have this dream, it's like you do have to work yourself out of your job. You have to get yourself to a point with that business where like, it's a safe thing for you to leave. But on the contrary, sometimes leaving the thing behind is the quickest way to that rather than waiting all the time. And a lot of time people just drop it and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Why didn't I do this a year ago?
And that's one of the things, and also going along with that is, if you're going to drop it, be ready to drop it.
Yeah.
Like you can't, and that's one thing that I've also learned in my life is you can't half hold on to something.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to move forward and you're ready to take the leap, once you leap, don't have anything tied to you. Like, you know, you've got, and I know I'm all of a sudden therapying it, but like you literally have to, if you're going to jump. Like if you're going to dump into the pool, dump into the pool. Like it's like you don't like touch, like, because that's going to hold you back even more, because now you always have this safety net. You want to light that fire under your ass.
Yeah.
And like one thing that Tony Robbins always talks about, and I was blessed enough to like get like the advice straight from the man himself one time when I asked him the question. He was like, you know, if you want to take the island, you burn the ships.
Yeah.
You know, there's no going back. Like it's like if you want to really like get something going, burn your boat, swim. Like that's your only option.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, and so I think that's where my struggle has been lately. But we're getting through it.
What about mentally?
Mentally.
Like what are the things you struggle with mentally? Like one of the things for me is like I overthink everything. I'm a hypochondriac, so that always takes my mental space. Coffee gives me dysfunctional anxiety. Do you see my story the other day where I was like, had a cup of coffee this morning.
Yeah.
Made me super anxious. But that shit's all in my head, so I'm here to get another
cup of coffee.
Like literally, like I don't know, like what are the things that get you mentally, like day to day, whether it's from when you wake up to end of the day where you're just like fucking, I'm so ugly, and that's just what I think about.
You picked it up. That was it.
No, I'm kidding.
Now you're in my brain. Mentally, that's a tough one because growing up I was super anxious. Like such anxiety, such bad anxiety, and it was terrible. Like it was crippling. It was, you know, like separation anxiety and all of these things that like just held me back from doing so much in my life. And I don't know if it was the injury and all that stuff that happened that just broke that, because anxiety doesn't hit me anymore. Like I'll feel it, but it doesn't stop me. Like
you have like more control over
exactly. Like it's like I feel it and I just go, oh, that's what this is.
Yeah. And
I like immediately like just it. I think it's come from coaching. Realistically, it's like, you know, I always just tell people pain is temporary.
Yeah.
Anxiety is temporary. All these little things that you feel, they're temporary.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going through something, it's like that. I think mentally, my biggest struggle is I am a lot like you, where I will overthink the hell out of something.
Yeah.
To the point where I break it. Where I'm just like, I will break something down so much that I can see the future of it and just be like, there's no possibility there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's no telling the future. And
you
so
just think you can.
I just think I know what's going to happen, and that it could cripple me. It's played out in my life pretty well.
Yeah.
But there are opportunities for it to completely backfire and miss, and like where here's a good one for me is I never think I'm doing enough.
Yeah.
And you know me, like I tackle everything like full head on, and like I'll have people that go like, oh no, like this is absolutely perfect. I will always think it's not good enough. I will never think that anything I produce is good enough, ever.
Yeah. Which is, it's very normal.
And it's
most people have that condition.
And that's like just like a part of me that I love it, but I also hate it, because like there have been things that I have put hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of like time and thought into, and they didn't perform, but like one or two people were like, dude, that was fantastic. It just didn't hit the right eyes. I'm like, dude, it's on me. Like it should have been different.
I feel like that comes from like external validation, and like not like personal. Like this is not like most people deal with this in the sense
No,
it's
hit
like
me with it.
with like our culture is built on external validation from your work. So like we're in social media. If a video shits the bed, you have a hard time thinking it was a good video because you're now giving like a reason for why it shit the bed. video, people didn't like it, it was a terrible video. I feel like in our creative space, if you can like love the work you're doing before anyone's even seen it, if you can validate it yourself, then the external, like you'll start thinking your work is better. And that's one thing is like, if you don't realize that, then you will get caught in this loop of thinking like I bet if you put out some sort of project you worked on that you thought was cool, but you're kind of waiting for that validation, and then you put it out and it popped, you'd be like, fuck yeah, that video was tough. Like that was a great video. Because you have both internal and external validation, rather than like create a video and like sit on why you like the video, why it worked, and then put it out with no, like this could fucking bomb, and I still think this is so tight.
And that's one thing I learned from you, and I've really been implementing it a lot lately, where it's like I watch my shit back to back, especially just like reels and like ads that I make and stuff, and I'm always asking like, yeah, what do you think of this ad? Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because it's like, to me, it's more of, it goes back to the gift thing. It's so easy that like, it just feels
you could have put in more work.
Yeah, it's just like, it's easy, but like, then I get like my clients are just ecstatic with my work, and I'm like, if that was that, like, how much more can I do next time? And I feel like that's another barrier of mine, where I'm like, okay, now I've got to one up that one. Like, you know, and how many times can I one up it?
Everyone deals with that.
And I love that fight. I love that feeling of being like, because there's been times where I'll film something and do something 30 different times, and what most people, like, and this is just me and I'm not like bragging or anything, most people would do it once and be done.
Yeah.
I'll film, I'll shoot, I'll edit the same video 30 different times.
Yeah.
And then be like, none of these were good, I'm scrapping it. And I'll take a week to make something just to throw it away and start over.
Yeah.
You know, even if it was good, it will perform, it will do well. I can't put my name on something that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
Like, which is weird. Which I guess is a good thing, but also
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could give lists of why that's good and why that's bad. Because the problem is like, you are your toughest critic. So like, on try 15, you might have made something. Like in exchange for your time, it might have been the perfect medium, where like you didn't put too much time into it. It served its purpose and more. And now you can allocate the rest of those other 15 tries plus the next video that you filmed after you scrap that video to your next video. And so like, it's always going to be really hard to one up yourself if you never even give yourself the chance. Like you just keep you just keep scrapping it. You're never going to one up yourself.
Exactly.
But I do think that's a trait of the biggest creators, and obviously we're just talking in our space, but like, I look at the biggest YouTubers, and one of the patterns I see is that they have this, you can just tell they have the need to one up every video, and that's where their progress just goes in such like a linear line of like, if every time you're one upping yourself, you just keep growing. And it's probably more of like a mental sickness when like, as the creator, you have to feel that pressure every time, and then you create something crazy. Like Mr. Beast talked about, he had that the Willy Wonka video. Willy Wonka? No, what was the crazier one? The what was that big TV show?
Oh, the games one.
Yeah,
on Netflix.
It's been so long, I don't even remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Trends.
He made that massive video, and it was like, imagine spending $5 million on a video, and you're like, fuck, I have to one up this video.
Yeah.
And then there was a period where that you could tell like the next, I'd say since then, the Willy Wonka video was close, but since then he hasn't. So it's not even like, you get to such an elite level of production that like now it might not even be possible to one up it for a while. You might need to like spike, drop, build some blocks up for another spike.
Yeah.
So like you're not even one upping every video every time or every project or every business. Like I don't know, it's just like
Creates the next avatar.
I wouldn't
coming.
be
I
surprised.
wouldn't either.
A little mini Pandora.
I mean, gnarly. Well, let's shift it then. You know, let's
I've got a lot of. No, I'm just kidding.
It'd be funny. We start the clip over and it's you laying on the couch over there. So how do you feel?
I'm like on your lap, like my head,
You should
like rubbing my head.
It'd be so funny. So how do you feel?
I was just wondering, how long was that? It's that was a 19-minute therapy session. That's fair. 19 minutes is fair.
19 minutes is
Is
fair.
there anything else on your heart?
I think that's it for right now. Yeah.
Now I gotta think. I wasn't thinking when you were talking.
No,
I was
it's okay.
articulating.
No,
What's going on with me? I mean, I have so many problems.
that's a good thing.
My life is in shambles right now.
Talk.
Not really. My life is great. Work is just always the main. Hey, we're gonna calm down. We're not gonna dig at the couch. There's one of my problems.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's check.
No, like I'd say with my business is always the issue where it's like, as of late, I'm in like well, I just went through that whole period where I dropped 1 million subs, started this new channel, huge, like I felt creative freedom, I felt like liberating, like liberation, that'd be a better way, and like I went through it for a month, 3 weeks, yeah, a month at least, maybe 2 months, and then again hit a wall where I was like, I dropped this new project, and in the new project there was like this new wave of content, but it was like, for the past couple years, I'd like to say like, I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm gonna execute while I figure out what I want to do. I'm not gonna put everything on hold and just figure it out. Like, I don't think that's a good, people are like, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I don't know what to do. Great, start a YouTube channel. And while you're doing something, which might help you figure it out, like, do that and then figure it out along the way. And so I've been doing that for, like, I've told you, for like fucking years. And then the new channel, I feel like that did carry over into the new channel. And so I just got to a point recently where I've always wanted to start like a creative agency or like social media consulting, and so, and these are all things you know, but as of late, it has been that same thing with you. It's like that parachute behind me. It was like kind of my own YouTube stuff, and it's like, I had this thought recently, I guess I'm my own therapist, it seems, here, because you haven't said a word, but I had this thought recently that like, the new channel, like let's say I want to build a creative agency, but my fear is like putting my YouTube channel on hold. And also with the creative agency, I deal with like the imposter syndrome of like, if my channel's not alive now, it's like, why would somebody hire me? But what if like the new chapter for my channel is that? Like, what if the new thing for me is building a business and documenting that? You know what I mean?
I mean, you literally.
I know.
I mean,
I was like, I don't have anything to say.
Well, no, like the beauty of it is like
Yeah.
everything you were saying. I was just building this plan in my head while you were talking, and you
Was
just.
that similar?
It was
Yeah.
it. You know, like because. Like, and that's the beauty of like what I do is I kind of just let you figure it out, and I just
Yeah.
kind of give you little points, but you figure it out
I mean,
yourself.
this has also been the past month of my life.
Exactly, and
all I
so
think
like
about.
what I would say is, as just like a friend and as somebody who's just listening and knows what your value is,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, why wouldn't you like make this new channel a progression of you showing people how to do what you've done?
Yeah,
Where it's like
yeah.
it's adding so much free value that, because that's the beauty of like what we do is you have such an easy medium of transferring knowledge to a vast audience.
Yeah.
And so many people want to know this. It's like, you know, give people tips, give people like show people the progression of you growing a channel, of you like how you got from A to B, how do you got like what are like the struggles that somebody's facing right now, where you can like help them in their struggle and then document the struggle and document how you got them through it and then how you like progress that, and then that's just a piece of it, and then just little tidbits of advice, like, you know, because like you've done this for so long that you understand like everything and it's so easy for you.
Yeah.
What's the first step like in creating like what's your brand? Like
Yeah.
what does that look like? What do you identify as? What are you trying to do? Like so many people miss that step where they're just like, I'm gonna start creating. And it's like, okay, what was
Let's
the
set up
step?
some sort of plan for you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
What do you want to create?
Like-
Why do you want to create it? What's your best what's the most suitable platform for that?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
people jump that, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's one of those things that like if I were you, I would sit down and go, okay, bringing it back to a third grader's knowledge.
Yeah.
If you were teaching a third grader how to start from the basics, because the problem with being a professional at what you do is you're so good at it that you forget that the easiest things for you are the hardest steps for this first person.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so you have to take it back and go, okay, third grader, how would I start a third grader getting to this level?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like explaining it like that, like even going back to like, okay, developing the first channel.
Yeah.
What does your banner look like? What is the email you're going to use?
Yeah,
what
just
is
the simple
like,
stuff.
The littlest, simplest shit. Like that's like, because nobody's doing that. You know, nobody's starting from the bare basics. Like
Yeah.
the bare basics is because we've all had that thing where we're trying to learn something and you go in and try to Google it or you try to like, YouTube it, and it's like, there's so many steps missing here.
Yeah, you
like,
can't find it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's what I would do. Is I would start with the bare basics. Like
Yeah.
think about like, for instance, think about our buddy Ricky, and like you know doing all the like trades and like the trading platforms and stuff like that. He starts with like, dude, do not put money in.
Yeah.
Don't put any money into this. Like start here. Understand what a candlestick is. Understand
Yeah.
what a trend is. Understand what bullish and bearish mean.
Yeah.
Understand all of these things, because it's like he's a multi-million-dollar level trader.
Yeah.
You're not going to start where he's at. People think that that's where they're going to get. It's like, no, like in order to get here,
you need to make the money.
You have to
Just
make the
trade
money,
with that
exactly,
amount of
and
money.
and also once you have the money, you have to understand where the money's going and
Yeah.
how the trends go. And it's like most people are gonna do all that stuff, and even like in our space, when you start to make money, like as a creator, and people are paying you, you don't think, oh, taxes. You don't think, oh, this,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
all the back end stuff. So it's like you're making $100,000. That's awesome. Wait 6 months when your taxes come through,
So your capital gains rolls through.
and all of a sudden you are out $75,000.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to look at all these things, and people don't express that. And so if I were you, that's exactly what I'd be doing, but I would also be doing it in the Jordan Beau way.
I was gonna say, for me, I never want to be like an information channel because
No.
my gift is communication and entertainment.
Absolutely.
So like for me, like one thing that you added to what I was thinking of, like in my head, I was like, well, I can document me building this business.
Mhm.
But one thing that would be good is on top of documenting me building a creative agency or a consulting firm, also give nuggets in the video within so it's like lifestyle building a business, and then also giving tidbits of information related to the business I'm building, which is also related to what I'm doing.
And
so.
that's what I would say is like a perfect kind of example, in a sense, would be like a Casey Neistat, where you look at his old stuff where it'd be like a vlog,
Yeah.
but in the middle of the vlog, he would stop and he'd be explaining something he's doing, and then you'd have like a tidbit of information. There'd be like a little nugget,
Yeah.
and he would show you something, and it'd be like, oh, I just learned something. But then he'd go back to the vlog. So it was entertaining.
Yeah.
You showed up for the entertainment,
Yeah.
but in the middle of it, it was like, oh, I just picked up some knowledge, and then it went back to
Yeah.
entertainment, which you could do that easily because that's just who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and so there could be a whole hell of a lot, because the last thing you want to be is the guy who sits down and just goes, okay, everybody, let's go over how to build a channel.
Yes.
Like, that's
No.
just cringy as shit. Like,
Not happening.
be fun, be
Yeah.
creative, and show people that it's possible, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, just have fun with it. Like, that's your thing, is like, learn how to give knowledge in your own way.
Yeah.
Because your own way isn't, me teaching somebody is completely different than you teaching somebody.
I'd say that's my biggest business struggle right now would be that I always deal with the I think for me, like the worst feeling from a career standpoint ever is having my work ethic and my dedication and mentality, but not having anything to apply it to, not having enough to apply it to. That to me feels like I said the other day, I was like, I feel like I'm chained to a wall staring at the keys to a Ferrari, like right in front of me. I'm like, I really want to go drive that, but I can't because I'm chained to this wall.
And I go through that too, but
Yeah.
it's also this is where you hone your craft.
Yeah.
You know, in this area where it's, because the last thing you want to do is all of a sudden have an influx of people who want to learn from you and not have something to provide.
Yeah.
So if I were you in this moment, it would be, okay, how can I practice this craft? How can I hone this craft? What am I teaching people? If people are coming to me to learn, what am I trying to teach them? Making a actual plan of knowledge,
Yeah.
where it's like A to Z, this is what you're going to learn, and then you just practice it, where it's like, it doesn't even have to be like, you don't have to practice on anybody, you can practice on yourself. It's like, if I'm teaching this to somebody, how am I teaching this? How does this look?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, because the last thing you want to do is have an opportunity come to you and have nothing, you
I
know,
agree.
because it's like, and I've shot myself in the ass with that a couple times, where it's like, you promote, and it's like, you get all these people who are super interested in what you're doing, and then they come and like, what you have to provide is so base level because you didn't take the
work.
time to,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you,
yeah.
in your head, you know what you need to teach, but you have nothing to present.
You have no format, no setup.
Exactly.
No plan.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
to present. And so if I were you in this moment, is I would be building that and like just taking notes and like, you know, A to Z, like, and keep reading it every single day. It's like, is this making sense?
Yeah.
So that way, once you launch and you actually have people there that are like, oh, I want to pay for this. It's like, oh, okay, well, if you're ready to pay for it, here, like,
Of course,
this
of course.
is it. You know,
Which
so,
is a new thing for me because I that's where I find enjoyment with this creative agency. Is like building a business to me allows me to use that drive because like now at least when you build a business, like there are A to Z things you need to do. You know what you need to do. In the creative space, if you don't know what content you want to make, if you're not happy with this, happy with that, like you're just in this constant loop of like, it's thought. Being a creative is very thought driven. And when you're thinking, you don't feel like you're doing, which like you said, it's part of the thing. But like as someone who wants to wake up at 4 a.m. and have like, fuck, tomorrow I have so much shit to do, I'm gonna get up at 4. Rather than getting up, I don't know, whatever, let's say you get up early and you're like, I'm gonna spend the next 3 hours figuring out what I need to do today.
so what if like,
And that's the problem.
so what if, like, if that's the kind of person you are, then what stops you from like the night before making a plan of like, okay, tomorrow I need to figure out like A to B. Like even like if, for instance, in your case, it'd be like, okay, so tomorrow I need to write up a plan. I'm starting at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. I need to find a plan of starting your own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know, just start with YouTube. Starting your own YouTube channel. Okay, the first 6 steps. Tomorrow I'm going to sit down and I'm going to figure out the first 6 steps where it's, and I'm only giving myself, and I go out by time because I'm a big time guy. So it's like, if I'm starting at 5, by 10 a.m., I need to have the first 6 steps.
Yeah.
And so it puts you in a box.
It's like time block.
Yeah, it puts you in a box, but now there's no like, oh, like I'm floating around, like maybe I can get some stuff done in this time. It's like you actually have a plan for the next day of, okay, and I always say the 5 things. Get the 5 things, the 5 most important things done before you fuck off. You know, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna sit down. I need 6 steps. 6 steps is all I'm gonna focus on. That's it until 10 a.m.
Yeah.
That way you have it set up that you have to sit down and do it. And now you have a little bit of structure where it's not come downstairs and then sit and go, all right, let's watch some YouTube and see what I can figure out.
Oh, of course. But what you're talking about is creative agency, and like I said, that's easy. Like you're right. The creative agency, having a business, that's what it is. I could think of a million things I could do tomorrow from 5. I could time block my week out.
Yeah.
YouTube was the issue. It was like when I was doing YouTube, it was like, sure, tomorrow I could sit down for 3 hours and I need to have 10 things brainstormed. But what's going to happen is I'm going to come downstairs and I'm going to sit down, and the act of brainstorming
But
as
that's
a creator
the thing.
feels
But that's what I'm saying is like when you sit down to do something and you time block it, creativity comes when you're not thinking about being creative.
Correct.
And so if you're sitting down and your entire attention span is going toward, I need to build my agency.
Yeah.
In that time is when you're going to start getting those weird ideas.
For the channel.
For the
yeah,
channel,
I agree,
you know? And so like that's why I always like whenever somebody's like, well, just meditate on it or think about what you want to do. Don't do that. Yeah. Like go like the
go
best.
on a bike ride and don't think about anything.
Exactly. Go literally
listen to music.
Do whatever you need. Like like my best ideas I get when I'm cooking. Yeah. You know, like I'll just be cooking and then something will hit and I'll walk away for a second and burn my food and then put it in my notes. Like
and now you've got a great business plan and some black food.
Exactly. You know, and I'd rather have that. You know, and so it's that kind of a thing where don't force it, but like have a plan of doing something instead of going and sitting and doing nothing to think.
Yeah, it's like, what's your creative process?
Yeah.
And figure that out. No, I agree with you. I just meant like the act of whatever, even like for creators, like let's say your creative process. For me, it's going on a bike ride. That's a part of I have to do that. But in the act of doing so, I'm just like, yeah, I'm such a fucking hustler. I'm just biking through Arcadia. That's so sick.
But that's okay. That's also okay. Yeah. As long as shit's getting done, you're not lying to yourself saying that I'm just trying to clear time out.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a real thing, there's nothing wrong with it, and you shouldn't be harping on yourself, and you shouldn't be bringing yourself down to that. Like, well, here I am. I'm a creative genius.
No, I know. I do these things, and I understand them. I just think it's funny, like the difference between a purely creative craft and like using that craft to create a business. And I know YouTube's a business, and if I knew what I wanted to do, I could destroy YouTube and I could put all my time and life into it and obsess over it, but I've been doing it for so long. Like back when I used to know what I was doing, that was my life. I didn't have enough time in my day to film a video and edit. I'm editing at 3 a.m., losing sleep. But when you're in a point creatively where you're in a rut is where like all work ethic goes at the door, because like you could work as hard as you want, but you just won't feel like it. Because it's just all, it's like in your head.
Well, you just said something, and I want you to meditate on this a little bit, is you said, back when I was doing YouTube all the time, and back when I was doing this, and back when I was doing that, you were identifying as somebody in that time. Yeah. What are you identifying as now? Like, what do you identify wholeheartedly?
Like, career-wise?
Everything. Like, what is your identity? Who is Jordan Beau? Right? Because Jordan Beau, back when he was doing YouTube all the time and stuff like that, Jordan Beau was a action sports person. Jordan Beau was a lifestyle person. Jordan Beau was this, like, comedian. Jordan Beau was all these things. What are you now?
I think that is where my rut of the past 3 years. My identity is shifting by nature. But as I grow older.
Exactly.
And I'm trying to label my identity now, and I think I have an idea. Like, I spent a lot of time the other day, this is one of the most valuable things that ever happened. Did I show you that clip of him talking about what gains energy and loses energy? Didn't I show you that?
Who?
The guy who owns Carrot Cart, Tajaj, I don't know, it's a very hard name. I'll show you. Okay. He was talking about like what he's doing. He's lucky at like a young age to find something that gives him so much energy. Wakes up in the morning, he's like, I remember that feeling as a YouTuber when it started, and when I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted a scooter and I wanted YouTube. And I wake up every day and I was just pumped, like I had this dope video yesterday. We're gonna go film it. The act He's like, fuck. The act of doing it, the activity that I was creating content around too was fun. So it's like, that gave me energy. And of the past 3 years, what I've been doing, whether it's searching for it or the content I've been making, drains my energy. Mm-hmm. And so I had to have this identity shift of like, I now need to reevaluate and find what gives me energy. And so the other day I was writing down, and I think people should do this, like write down a list of all the things that give you energy. Like things that come so naturally. Like we talk about this all the time. It was like for me, right now, the thing that I'd say I saw the most on the list was forms of communication. And that form could also be in the act of helping people. Like I love picking people's brains, and then I love giving advice on the stuff that I know about. And then like it teaches me things, and like any form of communication is my favorite. So for me, it's figuring out like what is now this best angle I could take using this new identity in content. And so I have been doing that. And again, I'm not saying it's finished or I couldn't be doing better, because I could. But that is what it is. Like I had an identity shift, and that's what, like, you get to a point where you're like, I can't even answer that question right now.
I can already tell you though, because you just told me what you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally like, if I were you, and just going off of what you just said, your identity is the person who helps people find out their creative in their own creative.
Yeah.
You're not, I think you're the biggest blessing you could be for people, and I've seen you do it with our friends who are also giant influencers, is you have the creative ideas.
Yeah.
Why don't you just be the creative idea guy? When I think about it, I think of it's not because you're short, but if you watch the movie Elf,
it's because I'm built like an elf, isn't it?
No, when you watch the movie Elf, there's
Say one of the small people.
No,
is he small?
Yes, it's the Peter Dinklage's character when he comes in and he has his little black book, and
oh my god, of course,
they're hiring him to come in with his ideas.
True, he's like a creative director for their books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all in the form, or they're all in that place of where you're at right now, where they're all trying to be creative, but they have so many creative blocks.
Correct.
But he has so many ideas that he just comes in and here's the ideas, run with the idea.
Yeah.
He sells the idea. That's where I would go if I were you, where you go in and you talk to people and you listen to them and listen to what they want to create. You watch what they've created. You've seen what they're doing.
And
then
offer a full new perspective.
You give them a full new perspective
Correct.
of where their brand should go and what they're absolutely good at. Because same thing, and you can identify this, we are so capable of seeing other people's strengths that they can't see.
Oh, all the time.
You know, and so that's why I'm always on you. I'm like, yo, you should try this. You should do this. You're good at this. You're good at this. Because it's so easy for you that you don't think it's a strength. And
Right.
so if I were you, I would start making ideas for creatives. I would go through and look for creatives and look for creators who are out there who are doing things and just start jotting down ideas for them.
I already have done all this.
So
That's what I've been doing.
that's what I'm saying. Is
Like
that's where I would
for my
channel it.
company, the only reason my company's that I want to start, I'm not gonna say the name of it. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Was like a creative consulting firm, and it started as just creative direction. Then where I got into like doing social media consulting was like, I was like, how many, like if you're a business out there, which is every business ever, wants to learn about social media right now, and there's a ton of creators that, again, I could do creative consulting for or like stuff like that. But if you're a business out there, you're like, you're desperate for creatives on your team. If you're gonna go out and hire, it's like how many creatives are out there that are available to hire or to contract that were creators? How many ex-creators, A, are still doing work, B, know what the fuck they're talking about, and of those ex-creators, how many people are willing to give out their information? It's so small. I'm like one of very few. And so like, that's where in my head, that's what I wanted to do. And so I literally just started writing, like I'm gonna use my friends' channels, which we've talked about this before, but I did exactly that. Like I'm writing out, I do a channel audit. I'll go through and I'll write out all these, I wrote creatives for them, and like that shit comes so easy to me for other people. I couldn't write anything like that on my channel. I probably can in the future once I'm doing it for other people. My brain is then detached from my shit, and that's the hopes too, is that this will help me in the future. But again, that you were right. I would love that, and I've always told you this. You know this. Like I would love creative directing for creators. It's so much easier to do for other people than myself. I'm drained.
And I think that's where you need to shift and just double down on it, where it's instead of being creative for yourself, be creative for others.
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's going to open up a wide variety of creative for you, which in the middle of creative, because like I think when you start creating for others, all of a sudden you're going to start having ideas for yourself, and then you just put those in the back end and just like, okay, I'm going to tackle that once I'm done with this person's. But then it comes back to that balance of that shift balance where it's like, okay, at what point or another are you only working for other people, and then you have to take time to go, okay, I still have to create for myself here.
No, I agree. But also for me, it's like I've had like having that shift is so nice for me because it's like this career is sort of selfish in some regard. Like I have this conversation all the time where like I think creators put the concept on a pedestal of like I create for other people.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that's not true, but as a creator myself who has said that, like I am included in this. I've said that. I start to guess. I'm like, well, what percent of what I'm doing is it for other people? It's like I enjoy, like obviously I thrive when I see that I turn someone's life around, or like I am the best moment of someone's week. Like of course those comments bring me joy, but did I start creating the content in the first place to get those comments? No. I started creating content from a more selfish point of view, which was I like scootering, I want to create content, and I want to get rich as fuck. Like that's just genuinely why I did it. And there's so many creators out there that do the same thing, but they have their story of how they create content for the people. This would be my first actual way of taking my creative and channeling it into genuinely helping other people. And from an execution standpoint, that's a lot of where my burnout occurs. Is like sometimes I'll think of ideas that are so fucking cool, and I'm like, nah, that's a lot of work. I don't feel like doing that. And to be able to have the creatives and then give it to them and be like, deuces, have fun.
Try it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know you'll do it, and I know when you do it, it'll work. I just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
So enjoy. And so for me, it's like being able to do that, helping people for the first time where it is more selfless, and then I get to see my work in fruition all the time. Like I could turn a channel around, or someone who's struggling or is in a bad place mentally because they're just, again, they're stuck like me, and the ability to give them a new perspective and do what I wish someone would do for me would be so valuable. And I would love that. And so, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've answered your question.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'm not good with therapy because I do my own therapy.
But you're self-reflecting. I mean, that's just how it goes, you know. I mean, and therapy is different for everybody. You know, therapy, like, you know, sometimes you have to be the guy who sits there and talks the entire time, and sometimes, most times when I'm doing these kind of things,
you don't say much.
It's the same thing that happens. It's like you just give somebody. Like the fun part about what I do is I just give you nuggets. I just listen to what you say, and then I just hit you with a comment and let you figure it out. Just direct the conversation. Just drag it in.
I'd say this one's a little different in the sense so like I am one of those people where if I tell you this all the time, you're like, hey bro, like I'm here if you want to talk about things. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
If I had him, I would have already talked to you about him.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like the reason this is obviously you want to do this for the pod, but like I've spent so many hours this past month talking about this to people I care about. So I've already done all this. This is just me.
Yeah.
Reevaluating the things I've learned mixed with I haven't had your perspective because I haven't really been here much. So therapy's cool.
Yeah.
Therapy's good, by the way. I've never done therapy because again, I talk to everybody and I don't shut the fuck up. So for me, like if you're someone that fails to talk to people about your things, go to therapy. Like therapy is
I think therapy's
so
incredible, dude.
Once I have a budget to fuck off,
Yeah.
I'll do therapy anyway. Like I would love to just go talk to someone every day.
That's it. I mean, it's clarity, and it brings you mental bandwidth. Because I mean, the people that I pay for like my therapy, and the people I pay as my therapist, it's like they're literally there for me to just unload.
Yeah.
Like they don't give me. They really don't talk.
Yeah.
Like it's just me talking, and by the time I'm done, I've figured out what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. But it's cool that it's someone detached from your life.
Exactly.
So it's like, because everyone has problems every day.
100%.
To some regard. So it's like, you don't want to be that guy. Again, you should talk to people you care about and they want to listen. But we all have so many things. It's like, go tell it to a therapist so that you're not every day, hey, Scotty, it's 7 a.m. again. I have these things I want to talk to you about. It's 10 a.m. We're like, oh,
if that's what you need for right now.
Again, I know you'll do it.
Until that budget is there.
Of course. But no, I do think therapy's huge. I've never done it, but I know a lot of people that I think it's got a stigma, but it's like, just think of it, it's like, that's someone who's getting, their job is to listen.
Yeah.
And then also provide you with a really unbiased response to what you're saying.
100%.
Based not upon anything personal.
And I think that's a great way to say it is, like, I switch therapists.
Yeah.
All the time. Because
so they just don't know
they don't know me.
Yeah.
Like, I want a sideline opinion of things, you know, like, and obviously go to somebody who's like trained and has knowledge. Don't just go to like, hey, homeless guy, how's it going? Like, let me talk to you about this. But like, it's it's getting somebody who does not have any emotional connection to you.
Yeah.
Because the people who care most about us want you to do the best, and they're going to give you the best information they can, knowing your entire situation. Sometimes you just need to know what an outside source looks like,
Yeah.
and that's huge.
I agree. Hopefully someone took that to heart today.
Yeah.
Some really rich, depressed guy was like, yeah, I should probably get 5 therapists.
So all the rich, depressed guys who are watching us.
All the rich people.
Yeah.
All the rich people are like,
God damn
I am so depressed.
2 guys in a sunrise.
Hey,
Hey,
that was a good session.
good talk.